Money Tree. I'm David Holt.
And I'm David Marks.
And you are watching Season 2, Episode number 5.
2.5.
I know. I gave you a softball for that one.
It
Isn't that
is.
what you're always telling me?
Nah, that is.
I'm giving you an easy one.
Just an easy one to answer.
And the other thing is printed on my sheet.
Right. So
episode Season 2, this is Episode number 5.
So it's kind of easier to keep up with when you have notes, right?
Yes, if you would read them in advance, that would be
That would be really beneficial.
Somebody works tirelessly to come up with very good documentation about our content of our show, and so the content maker,
that'd be me,
sends it to me, and I'm supposed to open it and be prepared. However, I do say,
well,
he sends me a text, did you see what I sent you? Yes, I saw it. I didn't open it, or I opened it and I hadn't read it, but today I printed it myself and brought it.
You did very good by printing it yourself, saving that nice toner that we have to use a lot of times. But I can, it doesn't, everything that we talk about is not on the notes.
True.
So we have more.
We don't stare at them, no.
No, in the introduction that we go over, and so while we're taking that time, why don't you tell everyone about these wonderful looking mugs that are sitting in front of us?
I'm telling you, this says Mountain Valley, but that's not what's most important. It's the other side, the Money Tree. Yes, this is exactly right. And we gave away a mug last week to Miss Walls.
Mm-hmm, we did.
What was her first name?
I'd have to go back.
Ashley,
I believe it was Ashley. Yeah.
From up in Flat Rock. And, since then, we posted it on Facebook, our social media, and there were 700 likes of our mug.
Right. So,
but that doesn't get you in the drawing.
That's right. So what you need to make sure you do is like our page. We had more people that did that. And we tried to make that posting so that everyone could see and be clear on what the rules really were. But we want you to like our Facebook page. We have a list of those people who have. And so we will do another random drawing today after we film.
And by the way, there were 700 of you that liked this picture of the mug. And we do appreciate you liking the mug.
Sure. I've actually had some folks approach me the last few days wanting to know how they can get their own mugs. So that may be coming soon to a Facebook store near you.
But we want you, the 700 of you who liked the picture of the mug, to like the Facebook page. And then next episode, you'll be in the drawing for that.
Absolutely. And remember, to get those, you can come by Mountain Valley News and you can pick your own mug up. I think that we could probably work out something where if someone just really wanted one bad enough, they could probably come by here and work something out.
Let's don't do too many working those out just yet, because we have a very limited supply on this first order.
That is true. That's true.
So
It'll take us a little while.
Let's wait a little bit on that one. But come by Mountain Valley. We appreciate those folks. They're so easy to work with, especially the camera guy.
Most of the time. Sometimes not so much.
And we also appreciate Farmers Telephone TV for airing the video portion of our episodes. And we appreciate WVSM, AM 1500, 103.1 FM Rejoice. They play the audio version of our shows, and we certainly do appreciate that. And appreciate you watching and listening to what we talked about.
Yes, and there's a lot of behind-the-scenes work that a lot of you do not know and see. Of course, there's research that goes into it, and the slide creation that goes into the video. So there's people who work there at Farmers TV who do a wonderful job with editing the video, things like that, getting the slides in there and in place, getting the sound levels balanced. And with the radio side, I talked to Mr. Mark today. So, we keep communication with those folks because we have to have that content available for them to do. And that content is available through our website, which is moneytreetv.org. If you would like to use podcast, we have that available through the Apple iTunes Store. You can also, of course, as David said, you can listen online through WVSM, or you can listen to their radio station if you're in this area.
And communication is so important.
It is very important, and that's how we want to keep an open and clear channel to everyone. That they have content available to them. Of course, Mountain Valley News. You can go to their website also and see the videos. But hey, you know what? There's other videos just besides Money Tree on there. There's all kinds of sports videos.
There's some really good shows called the Robbie Coker Show and the Heather Powell Show that I get to be the host.
Right. So,
I know less about basketball than I know about money.
We were trying to give David pointers on basketball earlier, hoping that maybe he'll talk about them kicking the extra point through the field goal next time they shoot free throws.
I know better than that.
It would be great if you did.
I will tell you, I did make a few blunders the first year or two I was trying to announce football games.
Oh, I can see that.
That's
easily done.
Those are some that I don't think I'll ever be able to live down, like cotton apples. and the 52-yard line. But the worst.
The
Can I say the worst?
52-yard line.
Yeah,
That's
can I
great.
say the
Okay,
worst?
sure you can. Of course you can.
We were having a playoff game,
Okay.
and we were playing the Weaver Bearcats. And I called them the Beaver Werecats. Was that a good one?
Oh,
I don't know if he can recover from that.
The beaver werecats. You know, I hear werecats are really tough animals, so.
You know, sometimes you might as well laugh because it
Well,
happened. You cannot take it
right.
back. When you say something wrong, you just claim it. Just
You
make
do.
a big
You
mistake
do.
and enjoy it.
Well, and there's a lot more, difference in when you're doing something live and you're on the fly, things like that, than when you are able to record them. And a lot of times, we do this in one shot a lot of times. So mistakes and all, flaws and all, we let that be presented. There have been times, though, several times on our little short preview videos, we call them leaflets. But on our leaflet videos, we've had to do 2 or 3 takes because, of course, we'll goof up or say something or...
Yeah, I remember the first time I started
Weaver
doing
Bearcats.
shows like that, I had to start over several times. I would be
Right.
nervous.
Sure.
I'm not nervous anymore. I mean, it is what it is.
Well, and I was nervous the first time we ever recorded this, but you get out of that in time.
So we're going to be talking about taxes
Sure,
today.
and the money fact for the day...
Oh, I'm sorry, I jumped
No,
ahead of the
this
script.
segues into it. You're
Oh,
doing
does
great.
it?
It
Okay,
segues
so
right into it.
there you go. I'm learning. I'm doing better.
So as of 2013, money fact for the week, as of 2013, $1 billion, with a B, $1 billion in unclaimed tax returns were still hanging out there. The IRS still had $1 billion in unclaimed tax
Can I
returns.
claim some extra?
Well, you could. However, you would have to be the people who were the claimants. You would have to be the person who can actually get
Claimants.
that return. Not the claimants. That's a totally different family. The claimants.
You know, I have watched that show when I was a child.
Several times.
Yes, black and white.
Did you
TV?
ever go out and shoot in your yard for some oil?
No.
Well,
But you
that's
know,
good.
I think that's where the lottery began. Those people were beginning
Shooting in yards?
No, about inheriting money they didn't know that they had. You
Right.
know, just by
Right.
fluke or
Right.
accident.
I always thought it was great how Jethro had these great ideas, and Mr. Drysdale usually had to go along with it because,
Didn't want their money to leave their bank.
the old golden rule that's in the book of Second Opinions, chapter 3, verses 8, he who has the gold makes the rules. So that's, use that, parents, on your
Somebody
children
might
sometime.
use that in their Sunday school class. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. So my question to you this week, Dave, is do you think, or what do you know about the different types of forms needed to file your taxes? There are going to be several different forms.
There are all kinds of forms.
There are.
Basically, I bring it home to my wife and she fills it out.
Okay, so
And I sign it.
one of my favorite words to use is plethora. So there is a plethora of forms.
That means a bunch. For
That
those of you
is-
that might be wondering what a plethora is.
Or
a
if
bunch.
DeKalb County East, we might say a whole bunch.
A whole bunch.
There
Whole
is
lot.
a mess of them. There's a mess of forms.
So how do you determine which one you should use?
Well, there's going to be certain ones that you get. Of course, if you want to take that time, if you're just a statistical or an informational nerd, you may want to go on irs.gov, the IRS website, and they'll let you read about every one of those forms. And let me just go ahead and tell you, you need to take the next 20 to 25 years of your life to read through all those forms because there's several.
Will you tell them what's on every single form you looked at?
Yeah, we will today.
Okay.
The forms that I felt like were essential, of course, look, we have a limited amount of time, so we can't go over everything, but we're going to try to cover the high spots of what you will need to know.
Okay.
So does
Fair
that
enough.
help? All right.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and look at our very first slide and start covering the forms that you're going to need for your taxes. Looking at first, we have Form W-2. Now, this is a form that you would get from your employer.
Yep.
You get a W-2 every year. This is, looking at the definition according to the IRS, this is your wages and tax statement.
Okay.
So employers must file a W-2 for each employer for whom income, Social Security, Medicare tax was withheld during the fiscal year.
Okay.
So that's why you have that W-2 that your employer gives you that has all those different boxes.
And you're also supposed to get it before or on January 31st.
Before January 31st, yes. Your employer's supposed to supply that to you.
Aren't you impressed?
I am impressed with that you knew that. Why do they have to do it in the month of January?
Because taxes are due in April.
Right. So they have to give you plenty of time to start getting everything together. So Yes, they have to do it. The next form, now I've covered several different ones, and I thought that might apply to people in our area, and of course people nationally also.
Yeah.
So, the second one is Form 1099 Miscellaneous.
Okay.
Now, this is for those who may be using the Robinhood app, and they have actually cashed out part of their gains on their taxes. So with that, Form 1099 Miscellaneous is used to report rents or royalties. If you have any songs that you've written that you're getting royalties off of,
Maybe I need to write some.
you know, maybe you and Eric Clapton may have wrote some back in the 70s together, and then you got to get royalties off that. Prizes. If we have any lottery winners out there, you may have.
That's
Form
where you turn that in?
Miscellaneous. Yes, you can.
Okay.
Or other fixed determinable income. Now, this form is to report rents, royalties, as we said in the awards. Now, this may be something that you get, like I do subcontracted work through social marketing for other companies, and I have to file, or they have to send me a 1099 miscellaneous on the amount they've paid me throughout the year.
Okay.
This is still income. Just because, you're getting money throughout the year and you're not getting a W-2 from that company, remember, you still have to pay taxes on the money you've earned. You can't just earn money for free. So
Okay.
you have to be honest about that.
So
and
cash
report
under
that.
the table is not allowable.
Well, people do that, but it is important that you report your earnings. We don't want anybody, because I believe in paying your fair share.
Yeah.
So if you're honest, you're going to do that. So 1099 miscellaneous is going to, if you win the lottery within this next year, you will have to get a 1099. You got to pay taxes on that.
And you don't suggest buying a lottery ticket. Remember, it's the Robinhood app.
It is the
Invest in
Robinhood
getting
app.
something for your money rather than just burning it.
Right, exactly. The next form we're going to look at here, if we can go back to that, is Form 1099 INT, which is interest income. So let's say that you have a bank account and you're drawing interest off that bank account. You have to report that as income.
Okay.
So it's important that you will get that typically from your bank or your financial institution where you're drawing that interest. That 1099 INT will actually tell you how much interest you've drawn in it, whether it's a penny or whether it was $100. The interest you've drawn off those savings accounts, you do have to pay taxes on those. That's why a lot of times dividends are so much more favorable depending on the type of dividend, because there's tax exempt and then there's taxable dividends.
Right.
If you bank in an institution that pays you a tax exempt dividend, or if you have stocks that pay you a tax exempt dividend, those are sometimes more favorable. A good example of that is life insurance policies. A lot of times will have what's called paid up additions, and those are basically the dividends that company's paying you that they turn around and buy more life insurance with. So it just depends on what you have, but if you did earn interest in an account this year, you will get a 1099 INT. Sound good? Okay.
Sounds good.
Now this next one that we have is a new form that come around after the National Affordable Health Care Act came into place. Also, a lot of people know as Obamacare, and that is Form 1095B. You probably got one of these also, didn't you?
I did.
And this
I was like, why are they giving me that? But I'm giving it to my wife for her taxes.
You need to give that to her, and it's health coverage. Now, it was what we would call the mandated purchase of health insurance. You were mandated as a U.S. citizen over the age of 18, unless you were under 26 on your parents' plan. You were mandated by the federal government to have a health insurance plan. So what this form basically does is it proves to the federal government it was your proof from your employer or the company that you buy your health insurance from. Hey, David Holt has health insurance. Don't penalize him, because remember, with the National Affordable Health Care Act, if you did not have health insurance, you were penalized or taxed for not having one. So, and I don't remember the exact numbers. I think the first year that rolled out, it was like $1,200, and it went up to $2,500, and then at one point in time, it was maybe $4,500 a year.
Wow.
So there was an additional $2,500, $4,500 tax on you for not having health insurance. So, and of course, there's a whole big economic pile of jargon that you could read through.
Jargon was a very polite word.
Yeah, it's a lot of jargon to see how that law was written, and of course I did not read the whole law, but wowee, it was a lot. So
that's another new word.
Wowee. Well, I started to really get into it, but I don't want to scare anybody.
So if you have that proof, make sure you use it when you're filing your taxes.
I chased rabbits, and David did a really good job right there staying on track.
Getting back in.
Make sure you keep that documentation. And, of course, it's always important to keep your records at least 7 years. You don't want to file your taxes this year and be like, oh, let's burn them. So that's next year.
Keep proof of that.
Keep proof of that, because you can be audited up to 7 years back. So make sure you keep that documentation. The last form that we have covered on here, is we're wrapping this up, is Form 8949. Now, this is sales and other dispositions of capital assets. So, this here can include stocks you sell.
Okay.
So, the gains that you would have on stocks, it could also be property, or it could be other forms of assets. Now, typically, automobiles do not gain value, they lose value, they depreciate over time. But let's just say that David buys a new BMW and he gets it at a great deal, and he turns around and sells that BMW at a profit. He would need to have that Form 8949. He would file with the IRS to show his gains. Okay, this of course could include stocks. Now, I'm not, number one, an accountant or a tax preparer, so you'd always need to talk to your accountant or your tax preparer to make sure that you're covering your bases on everything. There's a Form K that you may get from your financial institution if you buy and sell stocks. I know with Robinhood, that's what I get every year. They tell me this is where you're at, this is your statement, this is what you need to report. And so make sure that you're covering all your bases with that, and you're talking to your tax preparer or your accountant to make sure you cover everything. But when you sell property, you have to pay a capital gains tax. Now, different states are going to have different laws, and the federal government, of course, has a different law from that.
Right.
You know, if you live in your house for more than 3 years, and this is to my understanding, if you live in your house for more than 3 years and it was your primary residence, your capital gains tax structure may be different than if it was a rental income. If you own that property and you never live there, and then you turn around and sell it for a profit, your capital gains tax brackets may be different.
Okay.
So situational things can always be manipulated, loopholed, whatever you want to say, depending on the condition in which you use the property. So a business car might be treated different than a personal.
Remember, we're giving you our best educated information we have, but you always want to consult a tax preparer or tax accountant.
Yes.
To make sure you're meeting all the federal and state guidelines that you're required to follow.
Right, which leads us to our next part.
That is twice in a row, I'm telling you.
Yes, which is
segueing and leading. Right,
softballs and segways. That could be the name of David's new song. It's a great hit, softballs and segways, but don't ask me about basketball. So that would be that's the number one chart topper in India. So tax returns is the next thing we're going to talk about. If we can, let's go ahead and look at our second slide of today's show. Looking at this, we can see that the first form is 1040. That's the form that's going to be the individual tax return, income tax return, annual income tax return filed by citizens or residents of the United States. Now, not all this information is on this slide. I've supplied David and I in our notes a little bit of extra information that may not be on there. And that's why you can always go back on moneytreetv.org and read the show notes that we have. Now, this is important because I saw this several times when I was reading through the documentation from the IRS. Even if you otherwise do not file a return, you should file one to see if you get a refund. Because the federal government have things that, may also grant you a return even without having a larger taxable income.
So basically, everybody files taxes.
Everybody needs to file their taxes. Here's some of the reasons why. You could have the earned income credit, the child tax credit or additional child tax credit, the American Opportunity Credit, credit for federal tax on fuels, premium tax credit, or health coverage tax credit. Mm-hmm. So there are a few things there, and of course you would need to talk to your financial advisor or your tax return person to see if you get those. You may have only had $4,000 in earned income, and you think, I'm not going to really, hey, it may benefit you, if you have children, and especially, or high medical costs, whatever it may be. The second form we're going to look at there is Form 1040EZ.
That means it's easy to fill
out. Absolutely right. Very good.
See, I know he's shocked. I know a few things today.
Yes. Well, this is one that I would typically use in the past. I don't get to as much anymore because of the side work that I have. But this is a tax return.
In other words, he's making a ton.
No, that is not it. You can't hide money. David's showing that. Income tax return for singles and joint filers. Big key phrase here, with no dependents. So if you do not have children, this may be the form that you want to use. Why do you think that there would be a difference in filing with dependents and with no dependents?
You get to claim them.
You do. And what do you get to do when you get to claim them? What do you know about that?
What I get to do? I get more money back.
Right. That's basically what it boils down to, is there are credits, tax credits, that you get to have for having children. So yes.
They're expensive for one.
They are expensive, yes. $203,000 roughly was our ballpark figure when
I
we
think
talked about
so.
that. So it's important also that, as we said with the 1040, that you file your returns even if you think you don't need to, because there may still be credits that you may qualify for even if you don't have children. But the 1040EZ is the one you will use if you do not have children, filing single or jointly. The 1040 form is the one which is a longer form that you would actually use if you have children, because there's other tax credits
And
involved
typically they call them short forms and long forms.
They do, short form, long form.
See, there's a third one.
There's,
fourth one.
There is, yes.
I can't tell you how many I got right today. I'm so proud.
Now, death of taxpayer in 2017. How about
That doesn't
this?
sound like fun. I don't want to die.
If you're preparing, it's not.
That was last year.
Yeah, it was last year. Now,
2017.
if you're preparing a return for someone who died in 2017, you must use this form.
Really?
Yes. So there's still, even after you die, they still want you to file your taxes.
Is that why they say there's two things in life guaranteed, death and taxes?
And one supersedes the other one. So there you go. This is only
taxes supersedes.
Yeah, taxes supersedes. This is only if the person died at least 2 days before his or her 65th birthday in 2017.
Okay.
You can look at publication 501 if you want to see if you have to file a return on the IRS.gov website. Also, now this is one that I think will apply to a lot of people in our area, so you need to make sure that you really listen to this. This applies to Mr. Holt over here.
Okay.
This is the exception for children, certain children under the age of 19 or full-time students. So what do you think that might mean, or full-time students?
It applies to both.
Yes. Well, or full-time students, meaning,
Either or?
Well, if they're 19 or 18, they may still be in high school, or full-time student, meaning they're in
college.
They're in a post-secondary program, which is college, yes. So if certain conditions apply, how do you like that? I had to church it up a little bit.
I appreciate
If
that.
certain conditions apply, you can elect to include on your return the income of a child who was under the age of 19 at the end of 2017.
Ooh.
Okay? Or was a full-time student under the age of 24. Yes, very good. Did you see how he knew that?
I paid attention.
He pays attention. To do this, you must use forms 1040 and 8814. So if you're planning on including your child's income under the age of 19 or under the age of 24 if they're still in college, you must use form 8814 and do a 1040. Can't use 1040EZ. Why?
Because that's for a single person.
It is. Now, here's the important thing to know. If you use your child's income and you file 1040 and, of course, it's 8814, then your child does not have to file income tax returns.
But don't you want your children to file taxes?
Well, it depends. I guess you would have to really talk to your tax preparer about that and see which one would benefit you more, having the child file or having you file.
Mm-hmm.
You may want to see which one's actually going to play the better in the ball game that you have to do there.
Okay.
The last one we want to cover very quickly is the self-employment tax. I felt like this might apply also to those in this area. If you're a self-employed person, let's say you're a farmer, it's a Social Security and Medicare tax primarily for individuals who work for themselves. It is similar to the Social Security and Medicare tax withheld from the pay of most wage earners. So if you work for yourself, remember it is important that you file your taxes and that you pay Social Security and Medicare tax. And remember that what you earn and what you pay in has a lot to do with what you draw after you get to that age of 65. Probably by the time I get there, 9,085. So, if it still exists. So what you earn, what you pay in determines what you draw back out. Not everyone gets the same, so that's calculated. And remember, the biggest thing, and this is in a bold red box on our slide.
Deadline.
What's the deadline, David?
April 15th.
Yes. We don't want to.
Is there a time? 12 midnight?
I believe it's like 11:59, 59. So you have to 99. So you have to make sure that you get that in April 15th. Why don't you go ahead and do that? If you get all your forms in, if you know the forms that you've got to have, go ahead and get that in so that you don't have to hassle with it.
Check the box. It's off my list.
Right. And what does the federal government usually tell us about our tax returns? It's going to be delayed or it's going to be a slow processing.
Well, without the budget being passed from the federal
It slows
government,
things down.
slows things down.
So go ahead and get your taxes in. That way you can get it back faster and you can spend that money or save that money.
We want you to save that money so you're in control of your money rather than your money in control of you.
Right. So, wow, did our time go by fast today?
When you're talking about taxes, it just gets all exciting.
And exhausting. I'm tired.
Are you?
I am.
Well, our camera guy is an accountant, so he's like all excited. He's taking notes over there as we're actually talking.
He would have been more qualified to talk to you about this than I am.
Well, we tried to get him to come on the front side of the camera, but he doesn't have a face for camera. He's got a voice for TV. For radio.
Sometimes I think.
A face for radio.
There's one of those slip-ups that we were talking about earlier. He has a face for radio. I mean TV. I mean...
Oh, he's got something.
CB radio.
CB radio.
Breaker. So let's take a little more time, if we can, to remember.
That's exactly what I'm going to say. We want you to like our Facebook page,
Yes.
not the post about the beautiful mugs.
But go on there and like our page so that you can be entered into the drawing. We're going to give that away here in just about, well, we're 7 minutes overdue actually when we said we would do it. We're going to do that in just a few minutes.
Yeah, so we'll do a separate post on that one.
Absolutely. Hey, can I share something that I'm really, really thankful for, proud of? Okay, last Friday, and I posted this to our social media accounts. Last Friday, the market lost like 666 points. The Dow Jones Industrial, all the markets across the board lost about 2%. We had about a 10% gain on the stuff that we picked. So hang in there. Remember, it's not always winners. You pick losers too, but it was nice to have a good day.
It's called ebb and flow.
It is. That's right.
Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down, but sit steady in the boat. My mama used to always say,
right.
steady in the boat. It'll all work out.
Slow
in the
gains
end.
over time is always great. Remember, folks, we're very thankful for Mountain Valley News and for Farmers Television and the radio stations.
WVSM, AM 1500, 103.1 FM, Rejoice.
They do a wonderful job at getting us out to you. Always check us out at moneytreetv.org or facebook.com/moneytreetelevision. You can follow us on Twitter. We even have an Instagram account now, so you can follow us on there.
And podcasts.
And podcast on iTunes. A lot of stuff out there. But remember, all of that is summed up by this. You first, to have financial peace, must know the Prince of Peace, Jesus Christ. Know your priorities. That's the most important thing in your life.
Thank you guys for watching. Please tell a friend. Until then, we'll see you next time.
Have a great day.
Building your dream home is one of the great joys in life. At First Southern State Bank, we know construction and mortgage financing, putting today's low rates to work for you. As you and your family move closer to the completion of your new home, we know that your home is where memories are made and families grow stronger year after year. At First Southern State Bank in Rainsville, Scott Kirk stands ready to tailor the right construction loans to meet your needs, along with our staff of experienced loan professionals. Drop by to share your dreams with us today in Rainsville. First Southern State Bank in Rainsville, all the bank you'll ever need.
Hello folks, this is Andy White down here at Bobby Ledbetter's Twin City in Fort Payne, Alabama. I want to invite everybody to come out to our new location. We're at 1411 Glen Boulevard, right where you turn to go on Airport Road. We've got plenty of inventory for you to choose from. I got cars, trucks, vans, sport utility vehicles of any make and model. Come down here and visit us. Let us see what we can do for you. If you got some slow credit, I've got some banks that'll take care of that. We've got great financing, got a great selection of cars. Y'all come down here and see us.
Don't take the first deal that comes along when you can do better at BobbyLedbetter.com and Twin City Used Car Sales, located at 1411 Glen Boulevard in South Fort Payne.